My name is Brooke Lawson, and if you're listening to my story, I want you to remember one thing. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you will be the first to betray you. I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the forgotten child in a family of three. My older brother Kyle was the golden boy. Every parent has a favorite, even if they don't admit it. In my family, it was never a secret. Kyle could do no wrong. If he skipped school, it was just stress. If I came home 5 minutes late, I was irresponsible. If Kyle failed a test, teachers were blamed. If I aced mine, it was expected. Still, I loved them. I thought love meant forgiveness. I thought family meant forever. But I was wrong. The real story begins in college. I had fought hard to win a scholarship to Grand Valley State University. It was my ticket out, my chance to prove I could be more than the shadow of my brother. But life has a cruel sense of humor. After my freshman year, I lost that scholarship. One bad semester, one miscalculated grade average, and it was gone. Suddenly, I was staring down a $10,000 tuition bill. I remember the night I found out. I was sitting in my tiny dorm room, the glow of my laptop screen burning into my eyes, my hands trembling as I read the email again and again. We regret to inform you that your scholarship will not be renewed. My chest tightened. $10,000 might as well have been $1 million. I picked up the phone. My mum answered. "Mum," I said, my voice cracking, "I lost my scholarship. I need help. Tuition is $10,000. Please, can you—" Her sigh cut me off. "Brooke, we can't afford that right now." I blinked, stunned. "What do you mean? You and Dad both work. Please, this is my education." But she was unmoved. "We just don't have it." "I'm sorry." And she hung up. I tried Dad next. His answer was the same. A long sigh, a quiet apology, and a reminder that I was resourceful and would figure it out. That night, I sat on the cold linoleum floor of my dorm, knees pulled to my chest, and cried until my throat burned. I wasn't just scared, I felt abandoned, but I refused to give up. I picked up 2 jobs, waiting tables during the day, stocking shelves at night. I lived off instant noodles, wore the same 2 pairs of jeans until the seams frayed, and slept in 2-hour intervals between shifts and classes. Every morning, I stared at myself in the mirror. Dark circles under my eyes, fingers raw from scrubbing, body aching, and told myself it was temporary. I could survive this. But then came the betrayal that would change me forever. It was Thanksgiving break. I'd gone home for the holiday, exhausted but desperate for family. At the dinner table, the air was thick with turkey and cinnamon, but beneath it, a tension I couldn't name. Halfway through the meal, I overheard a hushed argument between my parents in the kitchen. My curiosity pulled me closer. "Diane," my father whispered, "we shouldn't have touched her share." My stomach dropped. Her share. My mum's voice was sharper. We had no choice. Kyle needed saving. "Do you want him in jail? Do you want the Lawson name ruined?" I froze, my plate trembling in my hands. They didn't see me standing there when the truth slipped out. They had taken $100,000 from my grandfather's trust fund, half of which was meant for me, and used it to pay off Kyle's gambling debts. I stumbled back, the room spinning, my share, my future, gone. When I confronted them, my mother didn't deny it. She simply looked me in the eye and said, "Kyle needed saving more than you." "You're strong, Brooke. He's not." That was the night something inside me broke. I walked out. No bags, no goodbye, just pain, burning like fire in my chest. And I never looked back. The years that followed were brutal. I clawed my way through college on loans, coffee, and sheer stubbornness. I worked until my body gave out. Some nights I fell asleep in lecture halls. Other nights I cried quietly in bathroom stalls, wondering why I wasn't worth saving. But there were angels in the storm. A professor noticed my struggle and pulled me aside after class one day. "You have potential, Brooke," he said. "Don't waste it. Apply for grants. Apply for everything his belief in me lit a tiny flame in the darkness." With his help, I secured grants, took on internships, and survived. Barely, but I survived. When graduation finally came, I walked across that stage with tears streaming down my face. Not because my family was there to cheer for me, they weren't, but because I had done it in spite of them. I packed my bags and moved to Chicago, leaving Grand Rapids and its ghosts behind. Chicago was chaos, crowded trains, endless noise, skyscrapers that made you feel small. But to me, it was freedom. I landed an entry-level job at a financial firm. The pay was laughable, but it was a start. I worked harder than anyone, first in the office, last to leave, devouring every book, every report, every strategy I could find. And slowly I climbed. Within 3 years, I was managing accounts that doubled profits for my clients. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving. But something inside me still burned. The betrayal of my parents had left a scar, and I carried it with me into every meeting, every negotiation. That fire pushed me further. With encouragement from my best friend Stacy, I launched my own consulting business out of a cramped studio apartment. My desk was second-hand, my computer outdated, but I had drive, and that was enough. At first, it was brutal. Rejections piled up. Doors slammed in my face. But then one small business took a chance on me. Within months, their revenue doubled. Word spread. One client became 5, 5 became 50, and soon my business wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Years later, I bought out a failing financial firm in Grand Rapids, my hometown. No one knew I was the one behind it, not even my family. By then, Kyle had destroyed everything my parents once had. An old friend told me he'd lost money in a crypto scam. My parents had sold our family home, drained their savings, and were now living in a cramped apartment. My mother, once a proud bank employee, was working nights as a cashier. My father picked up bookkeeping gigs to keep food on the table. And Kyle? He was still chasing get-rich-quick schemes, still begging for loans, still the center of their universe. I should have felt satisfaction, but all I felt was confirmation that I had been right to walk away. Then came the day everything collided. One morning, my receptionist walked into my Chicago office, her face pale. "Brooke," she whispered, "there's a woman here asking for her daughter." "She says it's you confused." I stepped into the lobby, and there she was, my mother, Diane, older, worn, eyes ringed with exhaustion. "Brooke," she said, her voice trembling, "I didn't know you worked here." I held her gaze. "I don't just work here. I'm the CEO." Her face crumpled. She begged. She cried. She said they'd made mistakes. That family should forgive. But I didn't flinch. "You took my future to save Kyle. You let me fall while you saved him. I built this life without you, and I don't need you now." Her tears fell freely as security escorted her out. My hands shook, but my heart was steady. For the first time, I realized I was truly free. Part 2. The Legacy of Freedom. When my mother walked out of my office that day, escorted gently but firmly by security, I stood frozen by the glass doors. My reflection stared back at me from the polished surface. A woman in her late 20s, dressed in power, built from scars. My heart raced, my palms shook, but beneath it all, a strange calm settled. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the forgotten child. I wasn't the one begging to be chosen. I was standing in the empire I had built from nothing, and they were standing in ruins of their own making. Still, the ache didn't leave me. That night, I sat in my high-rise apartment overlooking the lights of Chicago, nursing a glass of wine, staring at the skyline. The city buzzed with energy, but inside me was silence. A silence filled with old memories. The little girl who brought home drawings her parents never pinned to the fridge, the teenager who won awards they never attended, the college student who begged for help and was denied. Even after success, the wounds lingered. I wondered, was freedom enough? Was revenge enough? The next morning, I had my answer. It started with an email from a college sophomore named Jasmine. She had stumbled across an old article about my company's rise and found my contact. "Dear Ms. Lawson," it read, "I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I'm desperate. I'm about to lose my scholarship. My parents can't help. I've been working 2 jobs, but I'm falling behind. I don't want to give up, but I don't know how much longer I can do this. If you have any advice, please, anything, I'll be grateful." Her words hit me like lightning. It was as if I was staring at a mirror from a decade ago. I remembered the cold floor of my dorm room, the rejection in my parents' voices, the hopelessness that nearly drowned me. I couldn't save the girl I once was, but maybe I could save her. That week, I sat down with my team and made a decision that would define my legacy. We created Horizon Scholars, a tuition fund for students who, like me, had the will but not the means. Full scholarships, no strings attached, a lifeline for the forgotten kids. The first time I handed Jasmine her acceptance letter, her hands shook, tears spilling onto the paper. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "You saved my life," she whispered. But the truth was, she had saved mine. Word spread quickly. More students applied, more lives were changed. Horizon Scholars became my purpose, my redemption. Each student's victory healed a piece of my own past. But life has a way of circling back. Months later, my assistant walked into my office again. Her voice was hesitant. "Brooke, there's a man here. He says he's your brother." My blood turned cold. For years, I had avoided Kyle like a shadow, but shadows always find you. He entered my office looking nothing like the golden boy I remembered. His hair was unkempt, his eyes hollow, his once confident posture slouched with defeat. He tried to smile, but it faltered. "Brooke," he said softly, "it's been a long time." I crossed my arms. "What do you want, Kyle?" He sighed, sinking into the chair across from me. "I messed up. Again. I invested in the wrong people. I owe money I don't have. I thought maybe you could—" I laughed bitterly. "You thought maybe I could do what Mum and Dad always did? Clean up your mess." His eyes dropped. "I know I don't deserve it. But I'm drowning. They can't help me anymore. You're the only one left," I studied him, the brother who had always been shielded, protected, forgiven. My parents had destroyed my future to save him, and now here he was, in ruins, asking me to do the same. "No," I said firmly, "I won't save you. Because saving you would destroy me." He flinched, as if I had struck him. Silence filled the room. For a moment, I saw the scared boy beneath the arrogance, the addict beneath the golden child. And I almost softened. Almost. But then I remembered the dorm floor, the trust fund, the years of abandonment. I stood. "You need to learn what I did. No one is coming. If you want to live, save yourself." He left without another word. That night I couldn't sleep. His hollow eyes haunted me. Part of me hated him, part of me pitied him. But mostly I realized the truth. My family had chained themselves to Kyle's sinking ship, and I had cut myself free. That was the only difference, and I would never regret it. Years passed. Horizon Scholars grew into a national program, helping thousands of students. My company expanded. My name carried weight in boardrooms I once only dreamed of entering. People saw me as powerful, successful, unstoppable. But beneath it all, I was still human. And humanity has a way of catching up with you. One winter morning, I received a phone call. My father had suffered a stroke. He was in a small county hospital back in Grand Rapids. I sat at my desk, staring at the phone long after the call ended. A part of me whispered, "Go, he's still your father." Another part of me hissed, "He let you fall. He chose Kyle. He doesn't deserve you." In the end, I went. Not for him, for closure. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and sadness. I found him lying in a narrow bed, his once strong frame frail, his eyes tired. When he saw me, his lips trembled. "Brooke," he whispered, his voice weak, "you came." I stood at his bedside, unsure what to feel. Anger, grief, pity, all tangled. "I didn't come for you," I said quietly. "I came for me." Tears welled in his eyes. "We failed you." "I know that now. We thought we were protecting Kyle, but we destroyed you in the process." "I'm sorry, Brooke. I'm so sorry." For a moment, the little girl inside me screamed for more, for explanations, for justice, for a time machine, but the woman I had become knew the truth. Nothing he said could undo what had been done. I nodded once. "I forgive you, but I will never forget." His eyes closed, tears slipping down his cheeks, and in that sterile room, I finally laid down the burden I had carried for so long. Weeks later, he passed away. My mother and Kyle remained in Grand Rapids, still clinging to each other, still chasing survival. I didn't attend the funeral. Instead, I stood in my Chicago office, staring at the horizon, and whispered a silent goodbye. Because my closure didn't come from death. It came from life, from the students walking across graduation stages because of Horizon scholars, from the businesses thriving under my company's guidance, from the life I had built with my own 2 hands. One evening, at a Horizon Scholars Gala, I stood on stage before hundreds of students, donors, and colleagues. The lights were warm, the applause thunderous. I looked out at the sea of faces, hopeful, determined, free, and felt tears prick my eyes. "My name is Brooke Lawson," I began, my voice steady. "I was once a student like many of you, working 2 jobs, wondering if I'd ever make it. I had no one to catch me when I fell, but I stand here today because I refuse to give up, and now I want to make sure you don't have to fight alone." The room erupted in cheers, and in that moment I knew my family's choices no longer defined me. My scars had become my strength. Years later, people would ask me if I regretted walking away from my family. My answer was always the same: no, because if I hadn't, I would never have discovered who I was without them. I would never have built Horizon Scholars. I would never have found freedom. I am Brooke Lawson. I was betrayed. I was abandoned. I was forgotten. But I rose, and in rising, I learned the greatest truth of all. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes family is the future you create, and that is my legacy.